Hello.
That was quiet.
I feel melancholic this episode. Not really. I'm just kidding.
Hello, friends!
My God, the bars on your mic. They went red and they did not flicker.
I hope that you didn't have it turned up real loud. I'm sorry.
Yeah, a headphone warning.
Right. Actually, let me be the person that's kind of Eeyore this time. I hope it hurt. I hope it was real loud.
I hope your ear's bleeding a little bit.
No! I can't be that mean. Oh my God!
No, I hope you're fine and we didn't scare you too bad. We meaning her. So, any hoot. Any hoot.
Any hoot.
Any hoot.
Oh, I hope everybody's week is going well.
Yeah.
I hope that your boss hasn't been an Uber jerk.
I hope we've had a good week.
Same.
Our future selves.
Same. I do listen to these episodes every week, so.
I don't. I play the first 5 seconds so I can get a screenshot to post to my stories. But I listen to them whenever I upload them.
Right. We get a download
by that
from
time,
me.
By that time, Danny listens to it. His nephew listens to it. I feel like that's basically me listening to it. So yeah, by the time the episode actually comes out, I'm so sick of my voice that I'm I hate it here.
Oh, well.
You know how I said in the last episode, I hope you got a drippy nose?
Yeah.
I'm feeling that now. I've karma'd myself.
Karma. Also, I wanted to apologize if there was any, interference fee, static or whatever on the last couple
and it would have been
episodes.
at, different times, too, because,
mine was pretty steady because my phone was awfully close to my mic and I didn't realize it.
It should be okay.
But, so this week, here's another installment of the next haunted state.
Yeah.
And we're going to do Arizona.
Yeah, it's our next installment of Spooktacular October.
Yeah.
Getting into the thick of it So when does this episode go out?
I don't know. I don't have my planner. I forgot it.
Hold on, I got mine. It's got shit falling out of it, but I got mine. Okay, so when would this go out? Let's look. So if you're listening to this on upload day, you would be listening to this on the 25th. Let's see. Oh, I'll have gone and seen the Eras tour in the movie theater because seeing it live wasn't enough. What do you got going on? You still got a bunch of games.
I started to say soccer, baseball. That should be the week prior to the Halloween party.
Yeah, / me forgetting that there was a Halloween party. So I got tickets that was expensive. For 4 tickets, it was $134. But Danny only had to pay for half of those tickets. We didn't pay for everybody's tickets. What else we got going on? I guess that's it. I don't really have a whole hell of a lot going on.
Well,
I think I got a couple therapy appointments maybe. I don't know.
Well, I do want to mention that the fact that when this episode released, you said it was going to be on the 25th.
Yeah.
So that's going to be... So that's 2 weeks from when TJ and his cousins are going camping in Arizona.
We better plan another park episode. Maybe. Well, it's a surprise. Don't listen to any of that we just said. We're just having personal conversations.
I'm still not sure what she was trying to say, but okay.
We need to make another national park episode to spook them.
Oh, well, by the time we get...
This way they can listen to it. They can listen. We can record. I don't know. We can record early. It'll be fine.
Whatever.
Because we also have to figure that out between all of the other shit we got going on.
Anyways. So, let's get into it. We're just gonna go
on a tour, a 3-hour trip around Arizona.
A 3-hour
trip. And hopefully we don't get lost at sea.
3 hours?
Yeah, a 3-hour tour.
I don't know what you're talking about. This
You ain't
episode
never
is-
seen Gilligan's Island?
No.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, I've watched episodes here and there, but like never. I don't remember anything.
Somebody
about any
didn't
of
grow
them.
up with TV Land.
I did. I just didn't watch
Oh
it.
my gosh.
We were too busy watching
Anyway,
soap
it's not
operas.
going to be a 3-hour long episode.
So
if
say,
that's-
please don't tell me you think this is
No.
going to be a 3-hour episode.
If I talk real slow, it might be.
But your accent hit hard. Okay, so I'm going to start us off. We're going to go back and forth on this one.
Yeah.
I'm going to start us off with Hotel San Carlos in Phoenix. This is a frequented spot for some of Hollywood's biggest names like Marilyn Monroe, Clark Gable, and Carole Lombard. It carries a name for itself as a ghostly experience. You all right over there?
Yeah, I'm fine. My hair clip's coming loose, and I was
Oh.
just checking on it.
It carries a name for itself as a ghostly experience. The most popular one there is a woman by the name of Leon Jensen. This young woman in her mid-20s jumped from the hotel roof on May 7th of 1928, just over a month after the hotel's opening.
Oh, wow.
An hour before she jumped, she took a hotel envelope and wrote an apology to the manager on the back. She wrote that she didn't mean to check out permanently without paying her bill.
Oh.
She wrote, "The coroner will attend to my bill and be sure all of my clothes are packed. I have $5, which he will get later tonight. Will that help any? My income was due on the 10th, but it wasn't to be." She also wrote on hotel stationery detailed instruction for her funeral. "Bury me in my tan dress and tan high-heeled slippers. Organ music above all things. And can you arrange for 2 girls to sing, as I have never loved harmony, near my God to thee." She even included the date and time. She also wrote goodbyes to friends. The reason why she addressed that she had various health problems, including weakness and difficulty breathing, in reference to nervous breakdown. "Just another lonesome and ill stranger," she wrote. The stories today are told, painting her to be a sad and lonely woman who couldn't go on in life, stating that she just couldn't bear the weight of unreturned love or an abusive boyfriend, and even stories of murder.
Oh, my gosh.
The most common tale told today says that she traveled from afar to see her love, who was employed as a bellboy at a nearby hotel. He was mean and abused her. The morning of her death, she put on a beautiful formal dress and jumped, if not pushed, by her asshole of a beau. If she in fact had a lover, she didn't make note of him in her writings. She also wasn't wearing any formal attire. There is also a little girl that has been reported by the employees. She visits rooms at night and sits crying. It's believed that she is one of the children from the area who were affected by the flu epidemic or a school's closing. Even as recently as December 9th of 2004, an unidentified man jumped to his death from the roof. That's all I got for that one.
All right. The Birdcage Theater opened on December 26th, 1881, and was owned by Lottie and Billy Hutchinson, which every time I see that name, Billy Hutchinson, I'm like, I think of Billy Butcherson.
That's why I was like, why does that sound familiar? That's it.
And it was originally intended to present respectable family shows like Billy had seen in San Francisco that were thronged by large crowds. After the theater opened, they hosted a ladies' night for respectable women of Tombstone to attend for free. But their aspirations could not be supported by the local economics, and they canceled the free ladies' night and soon began offering entertainment that appealed to the rough mining crowd. There were 12 balcony boxes where sex workers did what sex workers do. Get their bag. Inside still sits the infamous birdcage poker table, where the longest poker game was played. The game continued 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, from 1881 to 1889.
Wow.
And it is estimated that approximately $10 million were exchanged over this 8 years.
Oh, wow.
After the sale of the theater and the drop in the price of silver, workers were laid off and many residents left Tombstone. And the Birdcage Theater closed in 1892. Today, there are ghost tours hosted by the Birdcage Theater because of the numerous sightings by visitors and employees over the years. There have been reports of seeing the spirits of the former prostitutes that worked there and men in cowboy hats. Some claim to have been touched and pushed by unseen forces. At night, the sounds of laughter, yelling, and music have been heard, almost like the party never stopped. I want to say that Ghost Hunters did an episode here. Let me look that up. Ghost Hunters, the Birdcage Theater. No, but Ghost Adventures did. Of course they did. I'm gonna fight Zach Baggins one day.
Alright, so the next one I have, this is a pretty interesting story. I'm probably going to butcher some of these names. I'm going to do my best. This one is the Superstition Mountains near Apache Junction. This popular hiking destination holds its own set of horror stories. This is said to be the home of the lost Dutchman's mine. Mysterious lights have been seen in the distance, screams have been heard, and shadows of Apache armies have been seen. Even bands of cannibals are rumored to haunt the area. Early Spanish explorers were sure that these mountains were home of Cibola, something like that, the fabled 7 cities of gold. Early Apache legends speak of the Thunder God who lived in a cave of gold there. A den of gold was mentioned in a 1748 land grant from Ferdinand VI of Spain to Don Miguel Peralta. The Peralta family inspected the mine many times in the next century, but in 1864 a mining expedition was organized by Enrico Peralta, but that party was quickly shut down by Apaches. This was called the Peralta Massacre. 6 years later, Dr. Abraham Thorne, an Arizona local on good terms with the Apaches because he treated a sick chieftain, was offered the opportunity to be led to a site where he could pick up gold from the floor. They blindfolded him and took him to a canyon about a mile from a sharp pinnacle of rock. He was then told he could take as much gold as he could carry from a tall pile of large nuggets. When he tried to take some of his friends back to the spot, he and his friends were killed.
Oh.
In 1871, German explorers Jacob Waltz and Jacob Weiser joined with 2 members of the Peralta family and an archaeologist to organize another expedition of the mine. This trip proved a little more prosperous as they returned with $60,000 in gold.
Damn.
When the 2 Germans decided to return 6 years later, they found and murdered a group of Mexicans that they found there.
Oh no. Can't be doing that.
Right. Weiser was taken out by the Apaches. In 1890, Waltz, a.k.a. the Dutchman, and now, listen. So he's German, but his name is the Dutchman, but it's like Deutsch was somehow turned into Dutch, probably because, in my notes, I literally put, well, probably because America.
Yeah.
You know how we
be like that
right?
sometimes.
But anyway, Waltz, a.k.a. the Dutchman, wandered out of the mountains, beaten and bloody, to a rancher's house to die. As he lay dying, he described the mine as a funnel-shaped pit dug into the side of a mountain. It's estimated that in the time span of 1878 and 1891, 10,000 people set out in search for gold, but somewhere in that time frame, the Apaches filled it in with rocks to hide it. Prospectors reported in 1912 that they found gold ingots on the spot where Enrico fought the Apaches in 1864. In 1931, a man by the name of Adolph Ruth was given a Peralta family map by his son. His son, Erwin, was given this map by a man called Pedro Gonzalez, who he had given legal aid and saved from prison. Adolph graciously took the map and took off with it to find the mine. A short 3 weeks later, his body was found in pieces.
Ugh.
His skull was found 6 months later, 2 bullet holes richer.
Oh, no.
Reports show that more than 75 people allowed their lust for gold to cost them their lives in search for this mine. Per the Apaches, it is not their tribe who have caused this trail of bodies, but the Thunder God. It is, however... Brace yourself. It is, however, believed by UFOologists...
Oh, shit.
...that there is an underground alien base in these mountains.
Probably.
Right. Other notable deaths and disappearances related to the mine. A headless body of prospector James A. Cravey was found in the mid-1940s. Barry Storm wrote a book in 1945 that stated he was almost taken out by a sniper while searching for the mines.
Oh.
In late 2009, a Colorado native, Jesse Capon, disappeared into the Tonto National Forest. His campsite and car were recovered shortly after. Those who knew him reported that he was obsessed with finding the mine. In November of 2012, his corpse was found stuffed into a crevice. In July of 2010, Curtis Merworth, Ardeen Charles, and Malcolm Meeks from Utah were reported missing from their hike in the Superstition Mountains. They were also looking for the mines. January of that following year, remains of 3 people assumed to belong to them were found. So mine was less spooky story and more of legend.
Yeah. I mean, that's fine.
But I just found that very interesting.
Yeah, that's crazy. You'd think people would learn after a while.
I mean, with a name like Superstition Mountains.
But honestly, those 2 Germans, it sounds like they got what they deserved. Because, like, they killed, like, a whole bunch of Spanish people.
Right.
That were trying to also find them.
Well, there was a story about Waltz when he wandered out beaten and bloody and all that he was, like, crazy. And he would just talk out of his head all the time.
Yeah.
And he was giving all this information, but they thought he was nuts.
Yeah.
But it was, I think it's in one of the links that I provided. So it's an interesting read.
Maybe it is aliens.
Aliens.
Did you see those 2 little Mexican aliens?
No.
Look up the 2 little Mexican aliens.
Now we're going to have to show that picture.
That's fine. Look them up. I mean,
I'm going to note it.
I'm sure that, like...
Mexican... And we're not meaning that to sound racist.
No. The Mexican government was like, hey, aliens are real. Look at these 2 bodies we have.
I wrote on my pants.
What'd you do that for?
Mexican aliens.
But yeah, like the Mexican government was like, hey, aliens are real. We have proof. Here are 2 mummified bodies. And now everybody's making fun of them.
What?
Yeah.
That's exactly what we think aliens look like.
Yeah, I just don't... I mean, they look...
It looks like
But,
ET.
like, also, whoever, like, discovered them, I think, has, like, also been caught trying to sell, like, paper mache...
That does look very paper mache.
Little critters like that before. So...
If they're really that small, then why are we so scared? Because you could yeet those things, punt them like a football.
Yeah, but we don't know how strong they are. We also don't know what kind of weapons they have.
I mean, if this little thing just came walking up to me, I'd be like,
I'd be like, E.T., get out of here with that neck.
That neck, I'm thinking more of that dome he's carrying around. So, we will also provide a picture of those, but if we don't, or if we forget,
yeah,
we forget.
Yeah,
I literally just Googled Mexican aliens.
There's been I've seen a lot of memes. I don't know how you haven't seen them.
I have been.
I think we're on 2 different wavelengths, like 2 totally different algorithms.
We're on 2 completely different FYPs. Well, not completely different, but
we're also on like
FYPs.
2 totally different planets most of the time.
Yeah, and 2, I've not been on social media a whole lot the past week or so.
I've had nothing but time.
I have been so busy. So busy. Anyway.
Cue me yawning again.
Next one.
The Oliver House in Old Bisbee, Arizona. The description on their website reads, "An adults only," you can't see me doing air quotes, but I do it quite frequently, property with sprawling porches, amazing views, and comfortable and spacious rooms. The Oliver House in Bisbee, Arizona is designed to be your haunt away from home.
I like it.
We offer a complimentary breakfast and free Wi-Fi. Walking to dining, shopping, and unique experiences that Old Bisbee has to offer. The Oliver House is filled with history, eccentricity, and spirits of the past, as featured on Ghost Adventures, the Travel Channel, and Discovery Channel. Our space is a must for your next overnight stay in Bisbee. Zach Bagan's coming out of the woodwork for almost everything I picked for this episode. Located at 126 All Souls Avenue, the Oliver House was built in 1908 and officially opened in 1909. It was originally built as offices for the mining executives and was later used as a boarding house for mining employees and Bisbee miners. And as I was writing this episode, all I could think about was the miner 49er from Scooby-Doo.
I forgot that I have stuff in my book on some of yours. I had one on the birdcage and this one.
We can circle back.
Okay.
After the Bisbee mines closed in 1975, the house was sold via a private sale in the 1980s. The Oliver House is said to be the site of 26 or more deaths, some being murders, most of which cannot be verified due to the records being lost to time or fires. One murder that is verifiable is that of Nathaniel Nate Anderson. According to locals, Nate Anderson, I forgot to put the E on his name.
No, he's also called Nat.
Okay. Maybe I accidentally put an E. I think I've accidentally put an E on the first part. Okay, so according to locals, Nat Anderson was a miner who was staying in what is now room 13 of the Oliver House. It was said that Nat was having an affair with the wife of someone he owed money to, which seems like a terrible idea. According to the story, the moneylender discovered the affair and went to confront Nat with the business end of a pistol. Nat was found shot in the back and in his forehead at the top of the stairs, outside of the door to his room on February 22nd, 1920. Despite the belief that it was the moneylender who killed him, no one was arrested, and the murder remains unsolved to this day. There was a newspaper article that was written about the murder at the time. The investigation of the murder of Nat Anderson early Sunday morning has come practically to a standstill. Every clue that has presented itself to police has been run down. On the evening prior to the murder, Anderson was at a party at the home of Mrs. Norris Greeley in Wood Canyon. It was a simple social affair among friends, cards and dancing being the principal entertainment. Shortly before 1 o'clock, the guests left the house in a crowd, proceeding a short distance together. When they separated, Anderson escorted Miss Elizabeth King to her home on Timby Avenue. He entered the house and talked to her for a few minutes, leaving at about 2:25 o'clock. He then went to the English Kitchen on Main Street and ate a light supper. Anderson left the English Kitchen shortly after 2:30 and presumably went directly to the Oliver House where he rooms. It is but a few minutes' walk. The shooting occurred at 3:10 o'clock. An inquest yesterday morning shed little or no light on the murder. The coroner's jury gave a verdict of death from gunshot wounds at the hands of an unknown person. Following the shooting, both Mrs. Richard Davis, the landlady, and a roomer saw a man leaving the place. They did not see him clearly enough to describe him. The theft of money and a watch from Kay Ross's room a short time prior to the shooting remains a puzzling feature of the crime. The weight of evidence against the theory that the man who entered Ross's room is the same man that shot Anderson is almost overwhelming. On the other hand, everything points to the crime as being the act of a man who had some personal score to settle with Anderson, a score of violent hatred. Before firing the third shot into the prostrate man's back, his assailant cursed him with a vile epitaph. There is a wooden footbridge across the canyon leading to the front of the house. A nearby neighbor said that before the shooting, a scuffle was heard on this bridge, and a woman screamed. The police think that the robbery of Kay Ross's room might have been a coincidence, or might have been done with the object of throwing them off the trail to make it seem as if it was the act of common thieves trying to escape. Today, guests report hearing strange noises, doors and windows closing on their own, and the unshakable feeling that they're being watched. Guests have also reported hearing disembodied voices as well as footsteps. One story that is told by Renee Gardner in her book, Southern Arizona's Most Haunted, goes as follows. We have a town radio station in Bisbee called KPRP. There is a story of one of our local DJs whose friend bet him $100 to spend the night in Nat's room. The DJ took the bet thinking he was going to make a quick $100. He did not believe in ghosts and was the ultimate skeptic. He checked in, unlocked the door to room 13, opened it, and saw a full-body apparition standing in front of him. He got so scared that he immediately shut the door, checked out, and gave his friend the money, stating he now believed in ghosts. Do you have anything to add yet?
No, your story for this one is a lot better than what this book has, but I do have stuff to add for the page.
Formerly known as the Blue Room, another room of the house is the alleged location of another adultery-related murder in 1932. In this tale, the wife of a policeman was having an affair. When the officer learned of the affair, he went on a murderous rampage and took the lives of his wife, her lover, and anyone else he found. Eventually, he turned the gun on himself. Residual hauntings in this room involve hearing the sounds of footsteps and moving furniture when no one else is around. Another room at the Oliver house also displays paranormal activity. Once known as the Grandma Room, named after the apparition of an old lady that's been seen in the room. On nights when the apparition was reportedly seen, typically rocking in a rocking chair in the room, a broken cuckoo clock will chime at 2 a.m. It is said that the woman died in the room and is thought to be a benevolent spirit, but there is one tale of where she seemed to get angry. When the property was purchased and the room was renamed, they also removed the rocking chair and the cuckoo clock, which had been related to the haunting. Apparently, this made Grandma Ghost upset. Renee Gardner described in her book the story of a young guest who had an experience with the ghost not long after these changes were made. There was a family staying at the Oliver house with their 3-year-old little boy. His parents tucked him into bed and then went downstairs to socialize with the other guests that were in the house. An hour later, the little boy came running down the stairs crying hysterically. His parents calmed him down and asked him what had happened. He responded, "The little old lady bopped me on the head." Thinking that he just had a bad dream, his parents calmed him down, took him back to his bed, and to their astonishment, the next day he woke up with a giant black and blue mark on his forehead. There are other rooms on the second floor of the house that have tales of hauntings associated with them. Creepy feelings of being watched, doors opening and closing, footsteps, the sound of running water, and there have been reports of parties on the second floor when the second floor was totally empty.
Wow.
So what do you want to add to the birdcage?
So the birdcage, and this may repeat some of the stuff that you had. This 1881 burlesque hall, this is in the same book that I read from every time, the Haunted Places National Directory. This 1881 burlesque hall contains a stage, bar, casino, and dance hall. Prostitutes enticed prospective clients from 14 red velvet draped booths. Although it closed down after only 9 years, the birdcage is still a popular place with a bevy of spirits. Hundreds of witnesses have reported the sounds of invisible people singing and talking in the deserted rooms. The ghost of a little boy who died here of yellow fever in 1882 and a former owner who also died in the building are thought to be responsible for a number of poltergeist effects. The apparition of a man wearing a celluloid visor, which is one of those visors with the green clear stuff on the
like poker players
yes.
wear. Yeah.
A celluloid visor and carrying a clipboard has been seen walking across the stage. In fact, encounters with ghosts wearing old-fashioned clothing have been reported by dozens of employees and tourists. In an article in 1882, the New York Times called this the wildest, wickedest night spot between Basin Street and the Barbary Coast. It was the site of 16 bloody gunfights, 140 bullet holes riddled the walls and ceilings. Appropriately, Tombstone's original Boot Heel hearse, the Black Maria, is on display on the premises.
Wow.
So, there you go. So, my next one is the Hotel Congress. This does talk a little bit about hauntings, but it has a cool history too.
Yeah.
That I was totally into. Located at 311 Congress Street in downtown Tucson, this hotel, built in 1919, was a hotspot for gangsters and gamblers in the roaring 20s. It's seen its fair share of tragedy and change. It's made its way through the Prohibition, a huge fire, and was even a hiding place for John Dillinger. It's now a good place to kick it with your friends. It houses a bar, a club, and a cafe. However, if you choose to meet up with friends here, keep together once the sun goes down. It's not uncommon for guests to go running out of their rooms at night. When the hotel was built, its rear entrance was right on the newly built Southern Pacific Railroad station. This gave guests an easy choice for places to rest. Now, when I say to you that this was a hot spot for gangsters, you can only guess that card games did get heated. Mm-hmm. More than a few card players were shot dead in these debacles. Now, let's go back to where I mentioned Dillinger. Mm-hmm. In 1934, he and his gang were hiding out here after a big-time bank heist in Chicago. On January 21st, the basement caught fire and soon spread upward to the third floor through the elevator. Dillinger, is that how you say it, Dillinger?
Dillinger.
Dillinger, okay. Yeah. Dillinger and his gang were able to escape by fire ladders through a window. However, they left their luggage behind. Ooh. The luggage happened to consist of thousands of stolen dollars.
Oh, no.
When they realized what they had done, they tipped $12 each to a group of firemen to go and get what they could. What the firemen didn't know is that they were sent to retrieve $25,000 and all of the gang's firearms. Mm. This opportunity for the firemen proved to be a huge error on the gang's part, as they were able to get a good look at the men.
Yeah.
Later on, one of the firemen, named William Benedict, was reading a copy of True Detective and recognized 3 of the men that he had helped. He ran and told the feds at the Tucson Police Department. And the Tucson Police Department came up with a plan. On January 25th, the men took to the streets. Russell Clark was the first of the Dillinger gang to be caught. They were able to track him down to a house on 2nd Avenue just about a mile away. When he was arrested, they found him in possession of $1,200. Next on the agenda was Charles Mackley. He was found at a radio store trying to buy a police scanner. He was taken in with about $700 in his pocket. It might have been $7,000, and I just left off a zero. But Peter Pierpoint was the third. They found him and his girlfriend, Mary Kinder, in a staged routine traffic stop. They asked the couple to come to the station because of a minor traffic violation as a ruse. Once they arrived, they were arrested on the spot. Pete was only holding $100, but you know how it is. The woman manages the money, and they found $3,000 on her. Finally, they caught the main man. Police made their move on him when they returned to the house where they snagged Clark. He had about $7,000 on him, with an additional $20,000 in cash and machine guns found in leather bags.
Oh, gosh.
Also found in those bags were notes detailing earlier heists. Years later, the Hotel Congress started what they called the Dillinger Days, or Dillinger Days. This is a festival that boasts reenactments, exhibits, food and drinks, as well as a vintage car show every year in January. Now, enough of this history shit, because that's not what you guys want to hear about. Let's talk about the ghosts. So, according to paranormal researchers, if you want to have your best chance of witnessing the ghostly action, be on the second floor around 2 a.m. Guests have said that they feel sick and watched. Reports of unusual noises are heard in the hall, and guests have woken up to ghosts standing by their beds. Per the owners, Richard and Shanna Oserin, these ghosts aren't normal ghosts. They look like a normal person. There's one ghost that appears as a man with a top hat and that peeks around a corner in the office to check to see if the coast is clear. Most of the ghostly inhabitants are living, quote unquote, like they are still in the 20s. These are like residual ghosts, like we've talked about before, where they just play out the same thing at the same time routinely. Yeah. There is one that sticks his head out of the upper floor window, and one that visits the kitchen. The help staff is still cleaning, but no one knows who any of them are. One of the known ghosts, Vince, lived at the hotel. He lived in room 220 for about 36 years. He served as a handyman of sorts at the hotel, and he would help fix things with his tool of choice, a butter knife. Vince passed in 2001, but the staff still finds butter knives from the downstairs cafe around on the second floor.
Aww.
I read that when there are no children staying at the hotel, you can see a young boy and girl playing throughout the halls. Another window looker, former pinstripe suit wearing gangster named T.S., that's all it said, still shows up in a second story window. The woman in black haunts the staircase in the reception area, but leaves behind a pleasant perfumey smell of roses.
Ooh.
Most activity seems to come from room 242. This room was ground zero to a story of a woman who shot and killed herself while in a standoff with the police. She was mid-mental breakdown and was attempting the old cop-assisted suicide routine. Something made her change her mind, and she decided to take her own life and not put that on anyone else's conscience. Her spirit remains and provides a dark shadow and a cold spot just outside the door. From time to time, she can be seen in the room's bathroom and in the hall outside the room. She's mostly a cloud, though, not like the others who look like actual physical people. Guests who stay in this room report having terrible dreams and hearing strange noises, even waking up to her standing at the foot of the bed.
Mm-mm. Yuck.
This next story that I have is the last one I have.
Okay. The Hotel Monte Vista in Flagstaff. Go pee. This historic hotel has been the resting place for many celebrities over the years, including Michael J. Fox, Susie Sue, and the late Bob Hope. However, the history of this hotel is much more colorful than having celebrity guests. With tourism on the rise in the area during the 1920s, the locals agreed that they needed a place with first-class accommodations in Flagstaff. In April of 1926, fundraising began to raise money for the hotel, and within 1 month, investments from prominent citizens and funds by the novelist Zane Grey, who was one of my pawpaw's favorites, totaled approximately $200,000, and ground was broken on June 8th. The 73-room hotel opened for business on New Year's Day in 1927 under the name Community Hotel, in honor of the townspeople who contributed to its existence. The name Monte Vista, meaning mountain view, was chosen by a 12-year-old contest winner. The Monte Vista has always had rumors circulating of hauntings. Similar to nearby buildings that are about the same age, there are spirits haunting some of the rooms and the halls, and with such a colorful history, it shouldn't be too surprising that some folks stuck around. The website encourages that if you were staying at the hotel to feel free to ask any staff about the hauntings, but that the housekeeping staff have some of the most interesting stories. There is a tale of a long-term boarder who was known by his strange habit of hanging raw meat from the chandelier. In the early 1980s, the lodger was found in his room 3 days after his death. Shortly after the lodger's death, a maintenance worker was doing a few repairs. He needed a new fixture, so he left the room, turned the lights off, and locked the door. Upon his return, just a few moments later, he found the television on at full volume and the bed linens ripped and scattered around the room. It is also a common occurrence today for the television to come on and off by itself. There are also reports of cold male hands touching guests in their sleep.
How do we determine that they're male hands?
They're probably bigger.
Okay.
And I don't know, maybe like the grip. Is there a grip? I don't know. Room 305 is one of the most active rooms in the hotel and has been featured on many paranormal shows and is a popular amongst curious guests. There have been many reports by guests of seeing a woman in a rocking chair by the window. Guests and housekeepers have reports of seeing the chair move by itself and have heard some knocking coming from inside the closet. The historical story is that years ago, an elderly woman who was a long-term renter would sit by the window for hours on end. No one knows what she was looking for, or if she was waiting for someone to return, or if she was anything like my granny. She just liked to sit on the porch and people watch.
And look at the rain and say, we needed this.
Yeah, we've been needing this. In the early 1940s, the Red Lake district of Flagstaff was just 2 blocks from the Monte Vista. 2 prostitutes were brought to room 306. However, during their visit, they were killed and thrown from their 3rd floor window to the street below. Over the years, many guests have reported being awakened in the middle of the night and are unable to fall back to sleep due to the feeling of being watched. It is most common for male guests to report the feeling of having hands placed over their mouths and throats and awaken being unable to breathe. Hotel guests have also reported hearing a knock at their door and a muffled voice announcing room service, but when the guests open the door, there is no one there. Other guests have claimed to see the figure of a bellboy standing outside of room 210. With even John Wayne experiencing this ghost. He reported that the ghost seemed friendly and that he did not feel threatened by its presence. Housekeepers frequently report experiencing the antics of the bellboy. One reported seeing a young male in an old-fashioned red coat with brass buttons walking up and down the halls. There have also been reports, primarily by maintenance and laundry personnel, of the sounds of an infant crying in the basement. Being one of the most disturbing paranormal encounters in the hotel, staff have found themselves running upstairs to escape the sound of the cries. The sounds are very real to those who hear them, but there has been no information that has explained this. On several occasions, the lounge staff and some patrons have witnessed a transparent couple dancing in the cocktail lounge. They are seen in formal dress, laughing and smiling, and eternally dancing. In 1970, there was a nearby bank that was robbed by 3 men. During the robbery, a bank guard shot one of the men. Despite one of their partners in crime being injured, the 3 men decided to stop in at the lounge to celebrate a successful robbery with a drink. The wounded man ended up bleeding to death while enjoying his last drink. Ever since then, patrons and staff had reported being greeted by an anonymous voice saying, "Good morning." There have also been reports of bar stools and drinks that seem to move on their own. This is another location that has been on the Travel Channel, but it was on Jack Osborne's show, Portals to Hell.
Oh, yes.
And the show Most Terrifying Places. And it was also featured in the classic film Casablanca.
Nice.
Next!
All right, my last one is Big Nose Kate's Saloon in Tombstone. I knew when we talked about this episode that I would have to include at least one story that comes out of Tombstone. I mean, that's one of my all-time favorite movies. So here we go. This saloon was said by some to be owned by Mary Catherine Harmony, or better known as Big Nose Kate. She was a flamboyant and promiscuous woman, and if I've read correctly, and I'm almost positive, it was said that she and Doc Holliday, yeah, were
Bumping ugly?
Yeah. But according to other sources, she never actually stepped foot in the place. It actually sits on the site that was once the Grand Hotel that opened in September of 1880. 2 years later, it caught fire and was destroyed. One of the only surviving parts was the hotel saloon. It houses a poltergeist who, to my surprise, is no Wyatt Earp, but a handyman for the Grand Hotel that was called the Swamper.
Oh.
He was a friendly man, but was very much a loner and kept a room in the basement. He never allowed anyone to come into his room, and no one ever knew why. One person whose room was close to Swamper's claimed that he was a treasure hunter. Truth, though, was that he dug shafts in his room. He believed that he would find treasure under the saloon, so he dug constantly night and day. It is said that he did in fact find something in there, but realized that for him to relocate it, he would have to pass by the downstairs bar and the upstairs hotel, and he didn't want anyone to know about it, so he kept hiding them in the tunnels, where locals say it still remains.
Oh.
After Swamper died, the hotel employees found his tunnels, but were never able to find his treasure. They did, however, find that the tubes were traced to the abandoned shafts of the Tough Nut mine. During one search of the tunnels, a loud moaning was heard when the excavators got close to Swamper's space. Footsteps were heard on the staircase, which made them think somebody had come into the building. When they went to investigate, they found no one. Upon further thinking about it, did they happen to get close to the treasure of Swamper, and he was trying to scare them off?
Probably.
Maybe that's why he's sticking around. Young men who decide to go in his room are often poked or pushed by an invisible person.
That's rude.
It also seems that Swamper likes to make messes. He always gets blamed when things go missing or spontaneously combust. There's a chance that you could see him in the staircase, but there's a better chance that you would see him in the basement. Now, let's talk about Kate's Saloon. Kate's Saloon was once a big hot spot for the cowboy types, and apparently some liked it so much that they just never left. These ghosts of cowboys past have been seen standing in doorways, sitting at the bar, knocking over beer cases in the basement, singing in empty rooms, having full-on conversations. Can you imagine just seeing two ghost cowboys just sitting there having, like, a whole conversation?
That'd be trippy.
I think it would be scary. It would freak me out at first, but then I'd be like, this is kind of cool.
Yeah.
They toss silverware off tables, flip on lights, move mannequins. They cause cameras to malfunction and produce cold spots. Actually, they have been known to pose for a picture or two.
Well.
That's all I got.
Alright, well I have two left.
Okay.
I got the Orpheum Theater in downtown Phoenix. The Orpheum Theater...
The Orpheum, so I saw that and I was like, well, do I have anything in my book? There's another Orpheum Theater.
There's a bunch of Orpheum.
There's one in Memphis.
Yes.
That's what I was thinking about earlier when we were talking about Memphis.
The Orpheum Theater is located in downtown Phoenix and was a former vaudeville house which first opened its doors in 1928. Initially built as part of the nationwide Orpheum Circuit, which was a traveling circuit of vaudeville acts, and at least 20 other cities also have an Orpheum Theater, including Memphis. The place offers a vintage atmosphere that you can't get anywhere, but from old historic theaters, and the interior decor is often elaborate and just stunning. All of this after a $14 million restoration by the city of Phoenix, who saw the potential in the building and purchased it in 1984. The previous owners had painted all of the murals black and covered all of the beautiful moldings to detract from the poor condition that everything was in. They also thought that the flashy decorations would draw attention away from the shows. And I don't. Have you ever been in the theater like this?
Mm-mm.
So when we went to see Dita Von Teese in Louisville earlier this year, it was at the Palace Theater in Louisville, and it is absolutely stunning. Like, it's like the interior decor is artwork in and of itself.
Nice.
Like, it's absolutely just chef's kiss. It's beautiful. And it's exactly like someplace where I would imagine Dita Von Teese performing. Like, it fits her style.
Got you.
And that was my first time being in a theater like that. Today, you can watch Broadway musicals, plays, or a classical concert here, and occasionally it hosts shows like The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. The Orpheum also hosts a number of ghosts, with at least 4 residing within its walls. The Orpheum's operators are always digging into the characters of the theater's past to better uncover who these ghostly inhabitants might have been when they were alive. Some of the spirits have known connections to the theater, while others do not. The best known ghost is that of Maddie, who is about 12 years old.
Ew, I don't like it already.
She typically hangs out in the mezzanine, but she sometimes appears in other parts of the theater.
I got cold chills.
According to friends of the Orpheum, Maddie keeps watch over the patrons and is generally quite friendly, but can be quite mischievous.
She's a Pisces.
She once smacked a young man in the back of the head for making out with his lover on the balcony while no one was around. She's also been known to tap on patrons' shoulders or shush them when they get too loud. Maddie's most prominent appearance was during a Chinese dance show. 5 of the acrobats stopped dancing mid-performance and began to scream while pointing at the balcony. They then fell back into formation and continued their performance.
That's weird.
All of the acrobats later reported the same thing. A young girl who walked towards the edge of the balcony and appeared as if she were going to jump, and instead walked right off the balcony and disappeared. Though she is the most famous ghost of the Orpheum Theater, nobody actually knows who Maddie is. There is no record of anyone named Maddie, Madeline, or even Madison with connections to the Orpheum, and some doubt whether that was even her real name in life.
Wonder where it came from, though.
I don't know. It could just be somebody named her, or who knows. The Orpheum Theater likes to keep its other ghosts a total secret, and you have to go on a ghost tour to hear about the others. Rumor has it that Harry Nace, one of the original owners, also haunts the theater. The latest ghost to be encountered was in February of 2019. A young woman wearing a period dress and a netting over her head briefly appeared to one of the employees as a full apparition. She seemed so real that the employee spoke to her as if she were an actual person. It was only after the encounter that the employee realized that the woman was a ghost. The operators of the theater have been researching to uncover who this woman might be, and may have actually found a photo of the woman in the theater archives.
Nice.
The staff of the Orpheum Theater claim that there may even be more than 4 spirits, as it seems that many have yet to reveal themselves. They cherish their ghostly residents and have pledged to make them feel at home. They don't reveal too much to keep them comfortable, and are very wary of amateur paranormal investigators who try to catch a glimpse or detect their presence. And then my last one is a Vulture Gold Mine in Wickenburg. Once one of Arizona's most productive and influential gold mines, it was in operation from 1863 to 1942 and produced over $200 million worth of gold. The town around the mine, Vulture City, was a boom and bust town, and it disappeared as fast as it sprang up. At its height, the city had a population of 5,000. In the spirit of the Old West, Vulture was a pretty rough place to be. Miners often died in mine cave-ins, and dozens of others were hung from the infamous hanging tree when they were caught stealing gold. There were many gruesome tales of rapes, murders, and freak accidents in the mines and surrounding towns, which is what led to the haunted legacy of the now ghost town. One tale is the sad story of Jimmy Davis. One night he was working the mines. The pulley system malfunctioned, leading Jimmy to climb a ladder to fix the belt when his arm got stuck in the loop of the pulley. The belt tightened when he tried to get his arm out, and Jimmy was launched several feet into the air with his arm still stuck in the loop. His body was smashed into multiple pieces of heavy machinery, breaking every bone in his body before dumping him hundreds of feet down into the central mine shaft. Worst of all, he didn't die right away. It took 5 hours for Jimmy to die. He cried and begged for mercy, but it was no use. His body was too far down in the mine to be recovered. It is said that the ghost of Jimmy Davis still haunts the mines, and his voice can be heard crying for help in the middle of the night. There are several other ghosts who are said to inhabit the mines, including the greedy miners who were killed for trying to steal gold, 18 in total. Their ghosts can be seen around the hangman's tree at night. It is also overrun by ghosts of the long-forgotten miners who love to haunt gullible tourists. Some tourists have had rocks thrown at them while near the tree. Others report hearing footsteps scurrying around them, and others have heard strange voices call them by name. Tourists and staff have often heard footsteps creeping up behind them, strange disembodied voices whispering in their ears, and ghostly apparitions wandering around the mines. Many people report seeing shadows on the wall when nobody else is there, and the sound of pickaxes striking the walls is a common occurrence. There is another location. This is another location that has been on Ghost Adventures. They paid a visit to the abandoned mine and town, and if they are to be believed, they had rocks thrown at them. They captured recordings of apparitions telling them to get out and you're gonna die. Even though the property is now privately owned, tours are available for a little bit of a fee.
Well, hell.
Well, shit.
I have the nonprofit for the week, and this one's a little bit different than what we normally do. But I found this one. I was honestly trying to find something that was, because Arizona is a culturally rich area. Like,
Yeah.
I was trying to find like something Native American to help Native American or whatever. I found very little.
Surprise, surprise.
The one that I did find, I was like not doing it because it was pushing Christianity on natives. And, you know, while...
We've been doing that too long.
Right. At this point, let them do what they're going to do.
Yeah. Just
so...
leave them alone.
Yeah. So, I found something else, and like I said, this is a little different. So, this one is called Fiddler's Dream.
Ooh.
This one it's like a venue where musicians can come and play. So it says in their additional information, one of the nicest things about Fiddler's Dream is the atmosphere. Our volunteer staff, so they don't pay their staff, volunteer staff enjoys serving coffee and snacks to the crowd. The crowd enjoys the artists' performances, and most of all, the artists have a chance to play to a crowd that really listens. Fiddler's Dream presents great music every Friday and Saturday night. Our format is generally 3 45-minute sets beginning at 8 p.m. Seating accommodates 49 people, so it's an intimate room and performers can really connect with the audience. The reason for existence is to provide a venue for the folk arts in their natural state. That's why there are no amplifiers or microphones. Unplugged acoustic music with voices is the natural sound you will experience. To preserve and enjoy the arts of old and to offer a platform for creative talent of today is the general philosophy. The performers receive a percentage of the door, so like spectators would pay to get in. They receive a percentage. The performers receive a percentage of that. I imagine the other percentage goes to like buying the food and the drinks and whatever.
Keeping the lights on.
Right. They receive 100% of their tips. and 100% of their product sales. And the audience listens and appreciates. Many perform at Fiddler's Dream just for the love of music and the joy of performing. The audience can be quite generous with the tip jar when they enjoy a performance. As a volunteer at Fiddler's Dream, you are contributing your time to give performers, whether new starting songwriters or seasoned professional entertainers, the chance to polish the act, perfect the style, and fine-tune performance skills. There is an amazing number of incredibly talented performers that play here. And then, if you're in Arizona and you know where this is and you're close by, there's a link here for you to apply to become a volunteer. The benefits of that are free admission for a month, as well as the satisfaction of knowing that you're helping keep music fresh and alive. Artists have, good ratings, they rave about this place. One of them says it was from August of 2006. It says, my name is Jared Young. I performed last week at Fiddler's Dream, and I just wanted to send a thank you to you guys for inviting me to play. I had a fantastic time and was so impressed with not just the quality of your venue, but also how attentive the audience was. It is one of the best rooms I've played in a while, so that is a real treat for me. Everyone was also very gracious. I even sold 11 CDs, and the tip jar paid for quite a bit of gas. So thank you for having me. I would love to come back and play again whenever you have a spot open. I'm now living in Los Angeles, so it's a pretty short drive for me to get to you guys. Thanks again, and please tell the great volunteers thanks for their time as well. You guys are awesome.
Nice.
So, there you go.
That's cool. I like that.
I thought that was a pretty cool situation.
Yeah.
I know it's a little different than what we normally do, but hey, I'm here for the music stuff.
Right.
So, there we go. And I did have who we should tell on this one. This week, you should tell your local park ranger or wildlife resource officer. I like it.
Cool beans.
I like it.
Follow us on
TikTok,
Instagram. This lady just shit.
Facebook,
X. Maybe.
Maybe. Email us at wanderersofweird
@gmail.com. What's wrong with us?
You're
Oh Lord. Oh Lord.
Send us your spooky stories.
Yes, please.
Let us know what state they're from.
Yes, please. If you are an international listener, we would also like to know some spooky stories. I know that like the UK, because it's a lot older than our, like, it's this, I mean, it's all been here the same amount of time, but because like we are a newer established country than the UK, that I know they have it's crazy. There's so much.
And I know that we have listeners in the UK.
Yeah.
So at least a few.
Hit us up. Send us some stories. I'm tired of y'all being too quiet in the email.
Our email is literally just us sending the notes for the episodes.
Yeah.
So do something about that.
And TikTok emails.
Yeah. Do something about that.
And the New York Times, because I had to sign up for the emails so I could access an article for one of these episodes.
Send us those. Send us topic ideas.
Yeah, for sure.
Send us books.
That would
on
be
our
cool.
Amazon wish list.
Yeah, we have our Amazon wish list. I guess that's it.
I feel like there was something else that we're forgetting, but I can't remember.
Well, maybe we'll pick it up in the next episode.
Be a good human.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.